The Cursed Monastery. Demons in the Cloister. There are places in this world where even prayer cannot pierce the darkness. Places where stone walls, built to honor God, echo instead with the whispers of the damned. In the Middle Ages, monasteries were sanctuaries of light, where monks copied holy texts, chanted psalms, and devoted their lives to Christ. Yet not all cloisters were blessed. Some were cursed, and within their walls demons found a home. I tell you now the tale of such a monastery, forgotten by time but remembered in whispers. The cloister of Saint Veridicus, where holiness rotted into heresy, and shadows devoured the faithful. It began in famine years, when the land itself seemed struck by God's wrath. The harvests failed, and peasants starved outside monastery gates. The monks of Saint Veridicus, bound by vows of charity, opened their stores of grain. But hunger knows no gratitude. Crowds stormed the gates, tore the doors from their hinges, and flooded into the refectory like wolves. In the chaos, a crucifix was toppled, and blood, human blood, was spilled on the altar. The abbot declared it a sign. Satan himself had entered their walls. After that day, peace never returned. At night, monks heard footsteps echoing through the cloister, though no man walked there. Candles guttered without wind, and the smell of sulfur clung to the air. In the scriptorium, where sacred texts were copied, letters twisted on the parchment. The word Deus, God, would blur and melt, while words of blasphemy appeared as if written by unseen hands. One monk, Brother Matthias, confessed to seeing a figure perched atop the altar, a black shadow with burning eyes, grinning with teeth too sharp for man. Another claimed that as he sang the psalms, the chant was echoed back, warped into a growl, as though something hidden beneath the choir mocked their prayers. And still the monks remained, for where could they go? The world beyond the cloister walls was racked by plague, famine, and war. Better, they thought, to endure demons within than chaos without. But endurance has limits. One by one, the brothers began to change. The fasting that once purified their souls now hollowed them into gaunt figures, their eyes sunken, their voices ragged. Whispers followed them into their cells, promises of release if only they would renounce their vows. Some carved strange symbols into the stone, claiming they had been taught by angels, though none in Christendom had seen such sigils before. Others mutilated themselves in penance, believing their suffering would drive away the evil. It did not. In time, charity rotted into cruelty. The monks no longer gave bread to the poor but beat beggars from their gates with iron rods. They no longer tended the sick but dragged plague victims into the fields and left them for the crows. At night, their chants grew louder, but not holy. The psalms twisted into howls. Latin prayers warped into cries that sounded more like invocation than devotion. The villagers whispered that Saint Veridicus was no longer a monastery but a gateway to hell. They said the abbot himself had made a pact, that in exchange for protection from famine and plague, he had given the souls of his brothers to the devil. For though the village starved, the monks never lacked for food. While the Black Death swept through the land, the cloister gates remained shut, and no monk was seen to sicken. But the price was terrible. Travelers who sought shelter at the monastery were never seen again. Their horses were found wandering the fields, but their masters were gone. Villagers swore they heard screams drifting from the cloister at night. The cries of men roasted on unseen fires. Some even claimed to see pale faces staring from the windows, mouths open in silent agony. The church sent investigators, priests armed with relics and scripture, to test the cloister's purity. None returned. One priest, Father Arnulf, managed to scratch a warning into the wood of a roadside shrine before vanishing. Cave Monasterium. Demons in claustro. Beware the monastery. Demons in the cloister. At last the villagers rose. Armed with torches and pitchforks, they marched to St. Veridicus, demanding the monks abandon the place. The gates opened, but what emerged was not human. The brothers who once walked with heads bowed now stood tall, their eyes burning, their mouths stretched into unnatural smiles. Their chants rose like thunder, and the villagers broke, fleeing in terror. From that day on, none dared approach. The monastery stood in silence, the bells never tolling, its walls blackened with soot though no fire had touched them. And within, it was said the monks danced in the cloister at midnight, circling a horned figure crowned in shadow. Some claim St. Veridicus was eventually swallowed by the earth itself. Others say it still stands, hidden in the forests, its stones weathered but unbroken, waiting for the curious or the damned to enter. What is certain is this: the Middle Ages birthed many horrors, but none more dreadful than when holy places fell. For when a church turns dark, when the prayers of the faithful twist into curses, it is not merely a building that dies. It is the soul of Christendom itself. And so the tale is told. The cursed monastery, where demons walked in the cloister, and monks sang hymns to hell.